contents of the meeting rather than, oh, yeah, I know there's always a little bit of come and go at the start. So lovely. Well, I can obviously see the screen share and hope that you all can too from Abby. And I can see names and most of the organisations that I was expecting to join now with us, which is great. So I'll briefly just obviously stay on mute for now, but you can keep your cameras on. It's nice to see who's on, and we don't have hundreds and hundreds of people in the masterclass, so it's manageable. So just briefly then, welcome. I'm Lindsay Sweeney, MD at Communities at Work, and this is the first masterclass of 2022. It's for members only, and we're really pleased to see a good number of you here today. Feel free to use the chat box to introduce yourselves. Just for our colleagues at Nottingham City Homes, I've sent the full list of delegates who've registered today, but we're expecting about 9 or 10 organisations to join us from around the country, actually. So Beyond Housing, For Housing Futures, Great Places, Grand Union, Guinness, Live-In, PA Housing, Plus Dane, Southways, Stockport, Taurus, Unity, Weaver Vale and Walsall Housing Group. So that's quite a good mix across the regions, and everyone is welcome. We're going to run some members only masterclasses through the year. We trialed one last year with an organisation called Transform and Achieve, and that was good. It went down well. We'll have them back in March for a session aimed at managers of employment services. And we're also talking to Walsall Housing Group about a masterclass in working, particularly in terms of creating an employment pathway with local NHS. So that might be a masterclass for April or May. But the only thing I really wanted to say today, with two things really. Big thanks to Nottingham City Homes for putting this presentation, this masterclass together. I've spoken to them in preparation for this masterclass, and I'm really looking forward to sort of hearing the details of everything they've done in developing a Women in Construction session today for us, and all the work they've done through the years to build this programme. Looks really good. And as members, I just wanted to say that there might be something on your mind that's a particular area, or a real area of expertise or experience that you've built up and that you'd be interested in running through a masterclass session. So that's sharing it with colleagues across the social housing sector, and we record them for sharing at a later date as well, and we'll take the key points into our newsletters and learning for members. So if there's a topic or an area on your mind that you think, well, we could maybe offer this or talk about that, please just contact me, let me know, and we'll explore that. So that's all from me. I'll hand over to Joe Pownall, who's the Employability Manager at Nottingham City Homes, and colleague Abby Greenwood, Becky Dennis, and shortly after that, Mariam Kayem. But I'll let Joe lead us through this session, and I'll keep an eye on the chat box for your introductions, but also any questions or issues you've got. So Joe, thank you, and over to you.
Hi, thank you. And I do apologise, I'm having some issues with my computer at the moment. So I am now on my phone. So the joys of technology when working from home, but hopefully you can see and hear me okay. Firstly, obviously, thanks for having us, Lindsay. And it's something we're obviously really passionate about at Nottingham City Homes. And Abby, I'm joined by quite a few colleagues who are also on the phone on the call today, and I'll let them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit more about them, what it is that they do. But for us at Nottingham City Homes, Women in Construction, we launched this around 2015, so it's been going for quite some time now. And to be honest with you, when I joined Nottingham City Homes just over 5 years ago, I think our Women in Construction officer was one of the first colleagues that I was introduced to. And it was really refreshing, something very different. I'd never come across a Women in Construction officer before in social housing, but it was something that was really quite exciting. And something that I felt that was really quite new and really welcome, something that was really needed. Just want to move on to the next slide, Abby. Brilliant. So just a little bit. So my name's Jo Pownall. So I'm the Employability Manager, obviously work for Nottingham City Homes. Look after employability. Women in Construction is a part of that. When, like I say, when I first joined the organisation, our Women in Construction scheme actually sat within what we call our property services. So very much alongside our repairs, our maintenance, our commercial side of the business. And you'd probably think that would be a really good fit for women in construction, having it within that area of the company. And to be honest with you, what we found out, it wasn't that it was getting lost, but it was amongst some of the challenges and some of the things that we needed to face and some of the barriers. And we actually took that role out, and the role has developed and changed. And Abby, who's on the call, who you'll meet in a little bit, who is our construction employability officer, has been leading on women in construction over the last few years, but actually taking it out of our property services division and placing it within our corporate services division, which is where we have all of our organisational development teams, such as HR, employability, recruitment, EDI. It was much better fit, and actually having that role as kind of like an outside role looking into the business, that's where we started to see some progress, some real progress on women in construction for us as an organisation. For those who don't know us, we are an ALMO, so we are an arm's length management organisation of Nottingham City Council. We were formed in 2005, so still relatively young, really, in terms of being a company. But we are the largest social housing landlord in the East Midlands, and really quite condensed as well, which is quite a nice place to be honest with you, because when we do engagement within Nottingham, it works out about 1 in 5 people who live within the Nottingham city area is actually living within a council home. So when we are going out and about and doing engagement, in particular, obviously on our women in construction side, that is a lot easier for us. So it's quite an unusual setup, really. We have around 28,000 homes. Obviously, that's reduced massively over the years, but it's still relatively significant. And more importantly as well, we have over 1,000 members of staff. And that seems to have grown slightly over the last few years. So we are also a significant employer. And if anybody comes into Nottingham or knows Nottingham quite well, you will probably see NCH vans kind of every 2 to 4 cars in front of you. It's more likely to be a Nottingham City Homes van. So we do have that kind of presence within the city. We've won 2 UK Housing Awards, and the reason why I kind of mention that is because women in construction and employability played a really big part in us winning our Landlord of the Year back in 2018. And women in construction was mentioned by our judges of being quite significant into why they awarded us our most recent one, which is around resident employment and training, and that was last year. We have a strategy, and these slides are going to be sent out, by the way, so you will have these, and within the slides there will be some links to things like our strategy and our corporate plan. Our existing strategy we're winding down. However, they do everything that we do underpins our 4 core values, which is to engage, inspire, to innovate and influence. And we are in the process of developing our new strategy going forward. And if anybody's in the process of doing that at the moment on the call, I'd really welcome a conversation with you about that as well. Next slide. Brilliant, thank you. And the reason why, so obviously women in construction forms a part of our much wider employability work. And I hope kind of as the session goes on today, some of the stuff that we do will be maybe familiar to you. It may be that you as organisations are maybe starting out the first time. I think the fact that you're here listening to more about women in construction is a really positive thing. But where it fits in our wider employability work, such as our ESF funded provision, Kickstart, which you'll probably notice on screen as well, it all comes under that same umbrella as employability. So we deliver a whole raft of projects, and to put it into perspective as well, we're a team of 6, and we look after all of these that you see, and we contribute to our Tenant Academy as well, which does sit within our tenant involvement team. So we do a lot, but women in construction is a massive big chunk of the work that we do. I'm not going to talk about all of these in detail, so anybody wants to know anything more about our other projects and what it is that we do, then obviously be more than happy to have a chat with you separately on another occasion. So just coming on to sort of why women in construction is important to us, if we just move on to the next slide. Brilliant, thanks. So why women in construction? Well, we know nationally, I mean, you know, you only have to walk out onto a building site or within the industry, within our own organisations, to know that female representation is really low. It has improved. And when we started on our Women in Construction journey back in 2015, nationally, I think it was around 11% of women were working in the construction industry. That has now gone up to 14. So it may not seem a lot, but it's going in the right direction. And there has been some reports as well by unions such as GMB, where they're seeing more ladies coming into more senior roles in construction. So coming straight out of university into much more senior project management roles, quantity surveyor roles, which is really exciting. So it's clearly an industry that women want to move into. But for us as an organisation, when we first started out, we had 4 trade colleagues who were female. We've still got a lot of work to do, but back in 2015, it was clearly underrepresented. Nearly half of our workforce work in our property services division, so it makes up a massive part of NCH. So it was really important that we started doing some positive action to start increasing the amount of female representation, to have a much more balanced workforce. And more importantly, we work in a really a multicultural, diverse city, and it's really important that our workforce represents that and reflects that diversity. So as part of our wider EDI work, on my colleague Becky, who's on the call as well, she's going to talk a bit more about how it fits in with our wider EDI work. It was a big gap for us, and it was something we felt really passionate about. And being a relatively significant big employer in Nottingham, we thought we could actually do some real good with that. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to hand over to Abby, who will introduce herself properly, and she will talk through a little bit about what women in construction looks like, more on the forefront really in terms of our customers.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Jo. So good afternoon, everybody. I'm Abby Greenwood. I'm the Construction Employability Officer at Nottingham City Homes. I've actually worked for City Homes and the council for 25 years, but mainly in housing. But then about 5 years ago, I made a switch to employability. Something I find very rewarding, very interesting, and you know, so it gives me that get up and go every day sort of thing. So yeah, so thank you for joining us at this webinar this afternoon. It's great to see you all here this afternoon. So I think first of all, let's give you a little insight to WIC. We celebrated our 5th birthday a couple of years ago, whilst we were in the first lockdown or in between the tiers, whatever it was, but yes, and I put together a video. Just bear with me while I just... That just gives you a sort of snapshot of women in construction at Nottingham City Homes. So a bit of background. So it was launched in 2015, and since then we've been holding a whole series of taster days. Prior to the pandemic, we were holding them at Harvey Road in Nottingham, and then we've had to change location in the last sort of 18 months. But over 500 women have taken part in the taster days as NCH, and at least probably about 60 or 80 women have taken part in them at the Nottingham Skills Academy, which is where we've been holding some smaller scale taster days there. So we celebrated our 5th birthday in October 2020, and the aim of Women in Construction, as Jo mentioned, is to deliver positive action in how we recruit and retain female members of staff. So we've got several women working in construction, repairs and maintenance at Nottingham City Homes, including 9 female trade apprentices. We've also helped a large number of women into block, caretaker and void cleansing roles, and into other construction related roles, including works planners, void admin, and a whole wealth of other roles, and also our customer services. So we've also helped women into construction roles outside NCH. So quite a few women have come through the taster days and now doing really rewarding jobs with construction companies, QS work, and also graduate type of work as well. So we have been holding women in construction taster workshops. These were put on hold due to COVID. So when Boris Johnson announced the lockdown in March 2020, we also had to stop. So so we couldn't go back. And basically we then struck a really good relationship with Nottingham Skills Academy. We've already been doing some work with them in advance prior to that, with our customers doing their SIA security courses, customer services, digital skills, and also the CSCS card training. So they said they opened up their new academy in Colton area of Nottingham, and they said, why don't you come and do your taster days here? So, and that's where we went. So we've held about 10 days there, in between all the lockdowns and the tiers, and it's gone really, really well. And of course, another reason to do women in construction is that there's a real need to address the gender pay gap. So just to give you a brief overview, we're being held like every last Tuesday of the month at Harvey Road, and we'd have up to about 15 female residents. I mean, we opened it out to everybody. Didn't have to be a tenant of City Homes, didn't have to be a resident of City Homes. So I've had ladies come from all over, from outside Nottingham, just to come along and have a go and have a taster. Because there was very few areas that do these taster days. So they were absolutely thrilled to come along and have a go. So yeah, we had a whole range of trades from plumbing, joinery, electrical, gas, tiling, plastering to painting and decorating. It'd be a full day, but a lot of the women would go away feeling really empowered, right, and saying, right, I'm going to go home and wallpaper my living room or something like that. And they did. And some of them had actually then gone on to progress on to apprenticeships, into other roles, and also into training courses. So another big area that women in construction gets involved in is the awareness days. And this is one of my favourite things I do as part of Women in Construction. Because I always feel that it's important to celebrate the National Awareness Days, weeks or months. So we used to hold themed taster days to promote inclusion. And we send out invitations to women in those communities. So for example, we had Black History Month last October, and the Construction Skills Academy helped us to do a taster day there, and it was a great success. We put it out on social media, on our website and everything, and we had a really good turnout and a good turnout of guest speakers as well. So we're really into celebrating LGBT Month, Pride. We have Pride in Nottingham around the summer of each year, Black History Month, South Asian Festival, and Disability History Month. And we also work very closely with the Equality and Diversity and Inclusion forums that we have at Nottingham City Homes. I myself am chair of our Disabled Employees and Carers Forum. It's always nice to link all the forums together to do this. So, and we also raise awareness at other days, including International Women's Day, National Inclusion Week, and National Apprenticeship and National Careers Week. So we were always, pushing it out, getting the message out about construction. So yeah, this is just a sort of an idea of our training house. So we have actually around the back of our Harvey Road construction offices, around the back, we have what's called a training house. We actually have a real house in the training house. So it's a house within a house. This was built by apprentices, and it's really well kitted out. We have bays, we have rooms in the house where people can try out different skills and different trades as well. And you can see around the edge on the back, in our brick lane bay, our plumbing stand, which we take out with us to events and everything. It's quite a big house. It's quite a big area. And we have a classroom, which has been recently refurbished, that we use as well. So yeah, we're really lucky to have this space at Nottingham City Homes. And we also get lots of great feedback on the Women in Construction days. All the ladies, and we allow some gentlemen to come along as well, and they've always been raving about it. And as a result, we've never had to advertise our construction days or actually pay for any advertising, because the women because a lot of them came from a local area and from different parts of Nottingham. They actually said, oh, you must go on this Women in Construction Day. It was word of mouth, it did it. It's a very powerful thing as well. So yeah, so we're really lucky to have a really good attendance each time. So in addition to Women in Construction Taster Days, we also have a network, and it was created a year ago, in January last year. And we meet online every 4 to 6 weeks. We've got a meeting coming up next week, and it consists of employers, training providers, support program providers, different areas, all members of the network, and it covers Nottingham, Derby, Leicestershire and the West Midlands. And it's a really good thing, because when we first started, we realised we needed something like this, because particularly during the pandemic, we've been working within our own organisation, getting things sorted. But then there was a real need. We found that there was a real need to actually start working in collaboration with other sections and so forth. So we've been working. With those other networks, and with those building a network and actually sort of share best practice. So we actually formed our core values when we set up the network. So collaboration, youth engagement, campaign, recruitment, and helping to bridge the gap. And the main key areas that we see is working with young people, attracting young people to come into construction, but also helping to bridge the gap and get construction companies to think about taking on women, the advantages of having women in their construction company, because a lot of them are still predominantly male, and it's helping to change that perception. At Nottingham City Homes, we did have some negative perceptions when it first started, but it's massively changed. The whole idea has changed, and a lot of everybody at City Home really welcome women in construction at Nottingham City Home and say what a brilliant project it is. We also do some social value and partnership working. So we're currently working with Woodheads, who is actually building over 100 new homes for us in the Top Valley area of Nottingham. We also got some close working relationship with Melius Homes, Edi, Ball Academy. We've got a really good project going with Ball Academy at the moment, and the Nottingham Skills Academy, plus some others as well. And we have we meet, so we have what's called social value action plans, so for example, we have a really detailed action plan with Woodheads on all the things we're going to do together. So part of social value, how we're going to meet the community and get them involved. We actually had a WIC 2 live event at East Clade last June, where we had a site visit around the site. Then we went to a church for lunch, and then in the afternoon we had a whole afternoon of talks from women who are actually involved with the actual building of the site, right from architects right up to building, actually being on the site. So so that was a really great day. We have got another day planned for the end of March, around about the 29th of March. If you'd like to find out more, please do get in contact with us, and I'll be more than happy to share the information with you. And that's also with our Women in Construction network as well. So, and we've got we've done a special networking event at Nottingham Skills Academy. There's going to be another one coming up in March. Again, I can send you details about that. We also have work experience opportunities when we're allowed to, particularly with Woodheads, our partners. And we've also got some great school partnership working. There's a great interior design project going at the moment with Royal Academy. And we've done other challenges like the Construction Maths Challenge. We've helped with interviews, interviewing young people. We've even done school taster days, which has always been a great success. So where are we now? So we're going back to 2015. There were 989 employees at City Homes, just under 1,000. Half of those, or just about half of colleagues in our property services division, and about 91% were male, and then 8.5% were female. And only 4 of those females were trade colleagues, plus there was 1 female in our estates and caretaking team. So where are we now in 2022? So we've got over 1,000 employees now. There's more than half of our colleagues in our property services division, and actually the male-female split has changed. So 85% male and 15% of female. So we can see the female representation has increased, and 9 of those females are trade colleagues. Plus, we've now got 6 females working in our estates and caretaking team, mainly as block caretakers. So it's great to see a lot of change at Nottingham City Homes. And then we've had some fantastic quotes from women, from our apprentices, and also our block caretakers. One of the things we're really passionate about and really like to promote, not within City Home, but also with other construction companies, is to encourage them to do flexible working. So take quotes. I'm just going to have a drink. So yes, so just continuing on. The next slide. There we go. I'm going to hand you over now back to Jo, where we're going to meet Marianne, who is our block caretaker. Thank you.
Brilliant, thanks, Abby. So we're joined by Marion, and I'll let Marion introduce herself. Marion, are you with us? Are you on the call? I know you had a few issues logging in.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm here now.
Yeah, brilliant. Hi, Marion. Where are you? You're at one of our flats, aren't you? In the communal space. Yeah.
Block caretaker.
Yeah. Block caretaker, brilliant. So Marion's currently in the city centre at our Victoria Centre flats, which is where one of the main shopping centres is in Nottingham, and we manage all of the flats. And is there about 400 flats there, Marion? There's quite a lot, isn't there?
About 400 flats.
Yeah, brilliant. So Marion, do you want to just tell us your name to begin with? That would be brilliant. Just your name and your role, and how long have you worked for us?
Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Marianne, and I'm a block caretaker at Victoria Centre. I've worked for the company for about 3 years and I think 4 months now. Yeah.
Brilliant. So Marion, can you tell us a little bit about you and what it was that you were doing before you worked for us?
Yeah. Before I joined the company, I've been out of work for about 7 years, because I was a mum, and I've got 2 kids to begin with. So before then, I was into retail. I've worked with Sainsbury's and I've worked with Argos. But because when I had my first child, I stopped working, and during that period, I also had my second child. So it was quite difficult for me to get back into work again, because like anytime that I applied for any job, they were looking for experience. And also the most challenge was the flexibility. I wasn't getting any job that would be flexible for me to be able to, you know, work around my kids. So it was quite difficult for me to, you know, find a job. So I've been out of work before joining the camp for about 7 years. Yeah.
And would you say, Mary, in terms of some of the challenges you faced then, obviously you mentioned your childcare, was that quite significant for you then? Was that quite a big, did you feel that was the barrier for you at the time?
Yes, it was. Because most of the work that you apply for, they want you to work full time, and even those that you are allowed to work part time, it wasn't really working for me because in terms of the childcare, because one of my kids was in full time and the other was in, you know, like 3 hours. He was doing the 3 hours, so it wasn't really working out for me, and it was kind of difficult for me to, you know, go into employment. So that one of the main challenges was the flexibility.
And when you joined us then, so what support was put in place for you, Marion, to help you overcome some of those? Because you joined us, you came through a sector-based work academy at the time into an apprenticeship. What support was offered to you around that, around your childcare? How did that work for you, working for us?
As you said, I came through as an apprenticeship through the sector-based work academy. And I remember during the interview, before even, you know, I applied for it, I was talking with you, you know, telling me that I need to consider the working hours because the role that I'm applying for is full time. But I still decided to, you know, go ahead and attend the interview. So during the interview, I had a discussion with Ian, my manager, and then I told him about my situation. And then it was quite helpful because I think I was the first person that they really tried the flexible working for in terms of the caretaking team. So he said, I discussed it with him, and then he said he would do something about it. So during the apprenticeship, I was working 30 hours. That was the hours that, you know, they were able to give me for 30 hours, which I was fine with it because I was able to drop the kids and, you know, put them into after school club, then after work, you know, go and pick them up. And that was really helpful. And also the other thing that they did to support us was placing me in a place that is not too far from, you know, where I live, because they put me, they've got several sites, but they, you know, when I had a discussion with him, he placed me where that would be comfortable for me to, you know, be able to come to work and also, you know, go back after work and, you know, pick up my kids and all that. So that was quite useful as well. And after the apprenticeship, he, you know, they also like kept me on the 30 hours contract. So I'm still working 30 hours, which is it was fantastic with me. I'm okay with it. And also they said that if in the near future I need to drop my hours or, you know, go back to the full time, they're willing to do that for me. So for that, I'm really, you know, grateful and I appreciate it a lot.
Brilliant, excellent, thank you. And I think it's just worth noting because obviously when the apprenticeship reform came in with the changes, part-time apprenticeships obviously do exist, and sometimes it's really worth asking your training providers if they can do an apprenticeship at part-time, and that's what we did for Marion, and it worked really well, and that was really welcomed. And I know obviously you've had quite a lot of support with that as well in your team, and Becky, who's going to come on in a little bit, our EDI manager, she's going to talk a bit more about our flexible working and some of the things that we are doing. Marion, then, just finally, what advice would you give other employers then if they're looking to increase more females into construction related roles? What advice would you give them?
To be flexible, because I know many, you know, women out there are willing to work, but it's just that they're not finding the jobs that, you know, will be able to be flexible enough for them to work around their children. So if they're able to do that, I think you get most women into the working industry. So yeah, if they will be able to be a little bit flexible than usual, that would be great.
Brilliant, thank you, Mary. And just I know I have a bit off on the spot really. Well, what are your plans for the future? Are you looking to progress, develop, move on? Yeah. What are you thinking?
I'm looking into, you know, going into different sectors, but within the company. I've already, spoken with my manager, and they put in my name down, and I think Abigail should have my details. So I'm just looking forward to progressing into different, sectors within the company.
Brilliant. Yeah, and I'm sure you'll go really far. I know you will. Excellent. Thank you so much, Marion. I'm going to hand over to Becky then, Becky Dennis, who's our EDI manager. And she's just going to cover off a little bit more about how it's fitting more on the corporate side, internal functions really at NCH. Thanks, Becky. Oh, have we got Becky?
Sorry about that. I was still. There she is. So hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Dennis, the EDI manager for Nottingham City Homes. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we do at NCH to create a fair and inclusive environment for our colleagues. Can I have the next slide, please, Abby? Okay, so first of all, we use what are called a quality impact assessment to assess the likely or actual effects of our policies on people in respect of the 9 protected characteristics covered under the Equality Act. So that's things such as age, race, sex, disability, religion, sexual orientation, etc. And this includes looking for opportunities to promote equality whilst removing or reducing any negative or adverse impacts on people. We've also introduced a wide range of mental health and wellbeing initiatives, including gender-specific, to address things such as the menopause, breast cancer awareness and peer-to-peer support. And we continue to apply what we've learned during the pandemic to ensure that we are accommodating to individual needs. Another really important thing, which has recently just been mentioned by Joe and Abby, is flexible working arrangements. So we have a firm policy in place to support this, to allow for people who have childcare and other caring responsibilities, which we know particularly do affect women, to ensure that they're not disadvantaged when applying for or carrying out their roles. The next thing is reasonable adjustments, which are made for employees in order to remove or reduce any disadvantages that they may face due to having a disability. And these adjustments can be applied at interview stage as well as at any other time during the course of employment with us. Next, EDI training, which is a really major thing for us at Nottingham City Homes. So all of our employees are required to undertake annual EDI training, and we've recently designed separate EDI training for managers, which will start this month, and we've worked very closely with our employee forums and our EDI steering group to get the content of this training right. Have the next slide, please, Abby. Okay, so a little bit on training, development and career progression. So we've reviewed our policies along with our job descriptions and person specifications to ensure that we're using gender neutral language in order to encourage females to apply for roles. All of our jobs are graded using a job evaluation scheme to ensure equal pay for jobs regardless of gender. We also promote our vacancies internally to encourage career progression, and we also use external targeted recruitment drives to encourage underrepresented groups to come and work for us. So the Women in Construction scheme being one. And this is really important for us because we want to make sure that our workforce reflects the diverse communities which we serve in Nottingham. We also have CV and interview skills support, which is available to all colleagues through our in-house learning zone. You can log on to that from work, from home, and access a range of modules there. There's also face-to-face sessions available from our employability team. Recruitment training. So we've encouraged people from underrepresented groups to undertake our recruitment training in the organisation. And this is to help widen and diversify the pool of colleagues which we draw from to sit on our recruitment panels. And this is a really good way for us to be transparent with our recruitment process and help people to gain confidence and knowledge themselves in advance of applying for jobs. The next slide, please, Abby. Thank you. So coaches and mentors. This year, we will be training a fresh batch of coaches and mentors across the business, ensuring that we have a diverse selection, especially focusing on supporting females to progress into more senior management roles. We are also proud to say that we fund places every year on the Future Leaders of Nottingham programme, which is a professional development programme aimed at making leadership in Nottingham more diverse and representative. If you've not heard of Future Leaders of Nottingham, it's a 6-month intensive programme to improve confidence, connection, authenticity and resilience for people wanting to progress their career. I can pop a link in the chat there for anyone that'd like to look a little bit more into what that entails. In addition to this, we have our in-house Aspire to Manage programme as well, to support people who want to transition into team leading and management roles. And then shadowing opportunities, which is another really important thing to encourage females into the construction side of the business. So this gives people the opportunity to spend the day in another area of the business and ask questions to get a better understanding of what other departments do. And this is ideal for females who would like to move from other areas of the business, but they're not quite sure, so they can come and get a further understanding and feel for the role. Next slide, please, Abby. Thank you. So the last slide, and that is employee forums. So that's really important to us at Nottingham City Homes. We've got the Ethnically Diverse Forum, the Disabled Employees and Carers Forum, and the LGBT Forum. And these forums provide a safe and confidential space for colleagues to raise matters and discuss their experiences at NCH. The forum members contribute to many things, such as training content and policy reviews, and provide valuable feedback, which we use to improve how inclusive we are as an organisation. In further support of this, we have a range of equality frameworks. So we've got the Race at Work Charter. We're currently disability confident level 2 employers, and we're just in that process of looking to move up to the level 3 status of that, which is the leadership status. We're Stonewall champions. We're also looking to move with more of a focus on the Alliance network for LGBT professionals to focus more on our local communities in Nottingham. And these frameworks are great tools for us to measure our progress and keep up to date with best practice. Gender pay gap reporting, as Abby mentioned earlier. So we've continued to reduce our gender pay gap year on year at Nottingham City Homes over the last 5 years. And as an organisation, our gender pay gap is lower than the national average, but we do acknowledge that we still have a lot of work to do in the property services division, where the construction, repairs and maintenance side of the business is focused. So our main concern there is increasing our female representation, which again, the Women in Construction scheme plays a vital role in. And then last but not least is our role models booklet. So we're currently in the process of creating a role models booklet to showcase the diverse range of talent that we have within the organisation. And this will be published in due course, so please do feel free to have a good read through it. The people from apprenticeship level all the way to board level within the organisation. There's some really inspiring stories within that role model booklet of how people have started the journey with us and progressed and to where they are today. Okay, so thank you for that, Abby.
Unmute myself. Thanks, Becky. So I suppose really for us then the most important thing is what's next, and we're constantly trying to evolve and push forward and progress women in construction and all our employability work. And I think that's really important to sort of take that away, is that we're constantly trying to evolve the stuff that we are doing. We know there's a big agenda around obviously carbon neutral, and Nottingham has a very ambitious carbon neutral agenda to be carbon neutral net zero by 2028, which is way above and earlier than the UK national target. So we know there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done in order to achieve that. Us as an organisation, and I'm not going to go into the technical side of this because this is certainly not my area, but we are delivering really innovative projects such as Energy Sprung, one of the first in the UK to do that in a retrofit product that's actually from the Netherlands, and we brought that over and received some EU funding to deliver that. But we know alongside these new kind of methods of construction and retrofit products, it comes new skills. And as an organisation, we know we've got a big part to play in that. And rather than us churning out or putting through more apprenticeships, saying plumbing or gas safety, actually what is it that we need? Is people with skills to fit more retrofit products to our properties, or is it the skills to maybe install and repair ground source heat pumps, for example? So there's a lot of work, and we work really closely with our colleagues and our energy team, both at the City Council and within Nottingham City Homes. We've already done a lot of support around engaging on green construction jobs. So Melius Homes, which Abby mentioned earlier, they are one of our contractors, and we're really quite fortunate actually because they deliver on our Energy Sprung project, and they do off-site manufacturing, and they basically create almost like a sleeve that goes over our properties that make them carbon neutral or nearly carbon neutral. But they are looking for people. They're a growing, expanding business, and they're actually based in our office. They're based out of our Harvey Road site, which we've mentioned quite a lot, which is very much our operational trade site where we've got a lot of our property services taking place. And we've helped them recruit locally using our Women in Construction initiative and using our employability programs to provide a pipeline of people coming into their company, and that's really exciting. I think, Abby, we're undergoing some recruitment for them at the moment, aren't we? So if you've got anybody,
we are because they're very they've already got some women working in their workforce at the moment. Yeah. They're very keen to have more women working for them, and the beauty about this role is that you don't have to have any specific qualifications. Because retrofit is so specialised, it's really they're looking for standard skills like be willing to learn, turn up on time, be reliable, listen, work as a team. So it's all these various things that work together, and then they actually give full in-house training in their factory, which they've got actually back behind our Women in Construction workshop. So yes, lots of really good development opportunities there. So yes, we're currently in the process of helping them recruit more staff there.
Yeah, and that's a really important thing for us, and what we're trying to do as well, isn't it, Abby, with our Women in Construction taster workshops, we're looking to incorporate more retrofit skills. So we're looking to have some conversations with organisations such as Melius Homes and ask them if they can come in and actually provide some taster demos around some of their products, because they are so niche and unique. So we know that's a really big important thing for us going forward. But and also
they actually came to our Women in Construction Day last week online, but they actually spoke to the ladies about the role that they were promoting and all about retrofit and everything. And it actually generated quite a bit of interest and quite a few questions. And one of them is very keen now to be a retrofit coordinator. So it's it's sort of selling the benefits of green construction as we try and move away from the old traditional gas servicing into the future ways of working and making things more energy efficient.
Yeah, brilliant. And equally kind of in parallel to that really is trying to work with some of the educational providers. So we have already had conversations with Nottingham Trent University. Are their curriculums in line with what it is that employers need in terms of green construction and retrofit roles going forward? And what can we do more with that? How can we work more closely with college providers? We have Nottingham College, which is a super college in Nottingham. So what are we doing with them really to help encourage being a significant employer, being responsible for a significant amount of that carbon neutral 2028 in the city? How can we kind of work with them to make sure that the skills they're teaching are in line with the skills that employers need? So it's still quite a lot of work that needs to be done there, and it's something that we're looking to do more of. We'd love to develop and grow our WIC network. We do not get all this right, by the way. We're not saying that, you know, we've got the magic answer to get more women into construction, but we're doing it, and I think that's the most important thing. And we have seen significant progress, albeit we've got a long way still to go. But the industry, as we know, is massive, and actually having a slightly bigger voice, or a much bigger voice than just us in Nottingham as one employer, how can we utilise that network to really help push boundaries, to challenge, to campaign, to promote, to innovate? What can we do with that? So if anybody's interested in coming along to the WIC network, we're going to share our details, and you're more than welcome to come along to those. We want to get better with all the social value work that we've done. We've got it right with some of our contractors, and particularly our new build contractors, and we've got some really great relationships with those, and also our project managers, our construction managers that are out on site are very much bought in and understand why it is that it's so important we have those social value plans on site. But how can we kind of expand that and make sure that all of our suppliers are doing exactly the same thing? And then finally, for us, is to continue to grow our female representation on our property services side. And just to put it into context, really, the last 2 years have been really difficult in terms of apprenticeship recruitment. That it hasn't happened for us for multiple reasons, obviously, main one being the pandemic, and some of the challenges that the colleges have had with starting new people, and also making sure that our apprentices still get a really good experience with us, our existing ones during the pandemic. So we haven't taken on the last 2 years, which has had a knock-on effect with the amount of new women coming into the business on that side. So again, there's still quite a lot of work for us to do that going forward. So that's it, really. That's it on a nutshell. All of our contact details, obviously, we'll share, and all of this is one. There's some click-through links as well on the presentation, so we'll send a PDF version. But I really appreciate you all listening to us, and obviously a big thank you to my colleagues as well for contributing and being such a big part of women in construction. And I suppose we will end it there. And if anybody's got any questions, we're all ears, and we'll certainly try to answer them the best that we can.
Brilliant. Thank you. And hang on just a moment, everyone, because we've got a couple of comments, I think. But thanks, Abby, for taking the slides off. But you went through those brilliantly. And I'm just checking the chat box for a couple of comments. But I really wanted to say a heartfelt thank you from us. That was such a professional presentation across the organisation. So we've heard from so many aspects of what makes women in construction work, and how that's affected wider work in Nottingham City Homes. So it's a really good, really thorough presentation of women in construction, but also wider. So big thanks to Jo, to Becky, to Mariam, and Abby, who've all contributed to the session today. So that was great. We will share the information, including links and hyperlinks and the slides and a recording of this session, as we've promised. And thanks, I can see some nice comments coming in saying thank you to Jo and the team there. So that's great. I had a specific question from colleague Karen in Grand Union Housing Group. Karen, feel free to zoom in if you want to, but if you're unable to, the question was that she's very interested in the social value work. I know that Grand Union are doing a lot in social value. She said a specific question is, are you able to share the action plans? I hope that means something quite specific in social value. Is that okay, Jo?
Yeah, I don't see why not at all. Yeah, that should be
fantastic.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. So lots of nods there. So we'll get that out as a follow-up email with the recording and with the slides that you've gone through today. Becky, you mentioned the Future Leaders of Nottingham. I think that would be a great link to share as well. That 6-month programme sounds really good. You know, you're clearly on the front foot, thinking ahead about what you can do and be proactive. You know, I know it's an old phrase that, but taking the steps forward to think about what we can do to be flexible, as Mariam said, the most important thing, show flexibility and think creatively about how to make a job work and training work, pays dividends. You know, it makes a difference to who can take up your job offers. So that's fantastic. And the Future Leaders programme feels like it's part of that. So please do send that. And I think I was really interested in the retrofitting skills point that Abby made at the end there, that, you know, it's a new area. As a society, we are dealing with a new training area, really. And that employers can hire for aptitude and understanding and train for a lot of the rest. I think that's got to be a great opportunity, right, to open up a new sector, generally a new sector, to a new workforce. So I really hope that goes forward. I was really interested to hear that, Abby. I hadn't really sort of thought about that before.
One of the things, sorry, Lindsay,
yeah.
One of the things that we find with that is because their products are niche, and usually they own their product as well. You know, we've worked with organisations such as Mauer, who I think were based in Liverpool. You know, they own their Mauer products, so only they can actually teach how to install them. You know, a college doesn't teach how to install a particular Mauer product. So they literally have all their own in-house academies that train, and the staff that we have signposted and secured roles for at Melius, I don't think any of them had prior kind of trade backgrounds at all.
Right.
I think one may have had some carpentry skills, but that was kind of desirable. It was never essential.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
so
you know,
good.
it's kind of music to our ears, really, when we're working with people who want to enter the industry, especially maybe later on in their careers, and have a career switch, which we see quite a lot of with women in construction. We get a lot of women coming forward and say, right, I want a career change, I want to change completely. It's a really good foot in the door. It's a good way to get into the industry.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we should do what we can at Communities That Work, and also you know, defer to your expertise to find ways to share that. And thinking aloud, we are doing a Good Green Jobs event in April with the Northern Housing Consortium. It's a national event. And this area feels like an area we could explore a little bit more, actually. It's about how we create good green jobs and create pathways to those new jobs and new opportunities right across our communities. And this feels like one way we should be doing that. So just quick checks. Thanks to Jeff from For Housing. He says he's looking to do a similar kind of program. So you've inspired him there, Joe. And I know that we've got a manageable number of members here on this call, so I think it's okay, Joe, to share contact details where they're not obviously shared, and you guys can continue to provide that little bit of advice and information if organisations are thinking of starting.
Absolutely. And one thing I forgot to mention, if anybody wants to come along to our WIC Taster Day, you're very welcome to. We'll send the link as to how you book, and obviously you can send us an email separately just to let us know, but we book everything on Eventbrite, so you can book direct with us, and we can always meet you there as well.
Oh, lovely. That's a generous offer. Thank you, Joe. Well, we've got plenty of follow-ups, info and a further invite there, so fantastic. I might just join that myself and feel inspired to go into retrofitting. We all need a career change at some point. I'm due a midlife crisis, so this might just be the way I go. But enough of me. Many thanks, Nottingham City Homes. That was an excellent masterclass. We've got lovely comments coming in from the chat box. Thanks everyone for joining us. I hope we've picked up the comments and queries that you made in there. We're at time, and thank you to Nottingham City for providing just such a lovely overview of the work you've done from all those perspectives and different voices. So big appreciation there. Have a lovely Monday afternoon, and we'll get that follow-up information to everyone who's registered as soon as we've got it. So I'm sure that will be in the next day or two. So thanks very much, everyone. Take care. Have a good afternoon.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thanks. See you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.